Tolerators. This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with your hosts, Natalie Katona
and Dina Al-Khatib.
On this podcast, Dina and I explore some of the impactful relationships we've had with men. We then thank them for the lessons they gave us and leave them with some positive manifestations. Whoo! You can tell I have coffee ton. We hope for their future. So if you're new, that's kind of the elevator pitch of what we're going to be doing every week. Today, we'll be talking about men who served or have been serving us in a mentor role. Dina, you've never met the mentor that I'm talking about today, but this is the part where he would be giggling that I chose to use the term serving us.
Serving us.
I'm excited for today's episode because today might be the first time I actually talk positively.
I know, I'm excited.
I know, I think we've been doing, not really, our crushes and our first kisses, they were funny episodes, but I feel like after last week, we've been doing a lot of shitting on the men in our lives, and I'm like, no, this one's a good one, everybody.
Yeah. I never think about, I try so hard to think on the what people gave us, instead of, shitting on them, even though they might be shitty people.
Right, because that's the whole energy of what we're doing. We're, taking what has happened and putting that, glow and grow spin on it.
Heck yeah, because, we wouldn't be who we are today without everybody who's affected us along the way, so.
Right.
And we're pretty cool.
We are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Duh. Everyone knows that by now.
Exactly. Why are you even here if you don't think we're cool?
Why are you a tolerator? Leave.
Oh man, we're gonna have so many followers.
All right. So I'm so excited about your mentor because I won't give any spoilers, but I know what it's about. But we'll go through mine, knowing that yours is actually the better one. So a little background about me, tolerators. I am not originally from Dayton, Ohio. Dina and I, that's where we record. That's where we live and thrive. But I am originally from Northwest Indiana, and what brought me to Dayton, Ohio is I took a long-term substitute position at one of the schools around here, and that turned into a full-time job, and then I got to begin my single lady empire life. And so that's how I met I'm going to call him a former mentor because he only kind of floats in every once in a while when I'm in pure panic.
Makes sense.
But yeah, we worked together at my first, what I would describe, adult job. And I don't know where our tolerators are in the age frame, and I don't know if you had a lot of anxiety in your first job, Dina, but that first adult job, everything seems like life and death.
Oh, yeah. Everything affects you. You think that every interaction you have with higher-ups, you did something wrong, you're overthinking the house.
And I basically, escaped my life in Indiana. I packed up my bags and I left. We were fresh off my mom and dad's wretched divorce, and my dad choosing to use me as a sounding board for that, or as a go-to therapist for that. So at this point in my life, I have low boundaries, lots of sass, and I don't know what to do with all of this charm because I'm 22.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a big package. I like it.
Right. I would never want to be 22 again.
Yeah, it was kind of bad.
So all my mentor knew for me from the beginning when I was subbing across the hall from him was I wasn't his cool friend that used to be teaching across the hall. She was having surgery and was out of commission for a while. I was loud. I wasn't that much older than the middle schoolers I was teaching, and I didn't know a lot about life. So I mostly bothered him. But I also like bothered him to the point where I didn't give a fuck. So I was just like always around. And I was like, here's the thing, I'm not intimidated by you, older professional man. I don't have shame. I'm above it.
I kind of love that energy though, because I don't know if you've been on YouTube, or not YouTube, TikTok lately, but there is this UPS driver that's like a kind of like grumpy UPS driver, like, you know, dude. And then I guess during the holidays, because like it's really busy and they're delivering a lot of packages, they get like a helper to like run the package from the truck to the house. And there's this young, cute, positive energy little like, she's not a girl, she's a woman, but she's like very petite. She's very small, and their energy and their relationship is so adorable. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but go check them out on TikTok. They're awesome.
So when my mentor and I started, we were basically that. Like, he was trying to be this distinguished professional, knows everything man, and I would just be like, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Do you know about Britney Spears? We love Britney Spears. And I honestly had more of a connection with his daughter, who was in the 7th grade and one of my students, than I had with him. We would talk the Hunger Games all the time.
Oh, I love that.
And, like, they thought that I was legit the coolest because I had no boundaries and I tell them everything.
Yay! The cool aunt, basically.
Right. I became his kids because he also has a son with special needs, and he and I, like, formed this beautiful bond where, like, I was one of the first people that he would mimic when he was learning how to talk, and like we could talk like superheroes and Pixar or whatever. I became his kid's favorite aunt. And he's like, well, she's just around all the time. Why do my kids like her?
My God.
And then in between the summer, I was working in a daycare job because I didn't know I was getting hired on full time. And the year that I started teaching at school full time, he lost his partner for the junior high drama club. So he was like tasked to run this like drama club by himself. And it's like the school's largest club. It's a free club. Like, you just get to come as you are. There are no auditions or anything. Like, you just spend the first few weeks learning like stage cues, staging, improv games, whatever.
Yeah.
And my roommate at the time was like, you know, like, he's going to be able to pull that off by his own, but like, he's going to need help. And I'm like, I got you. And like, I'm a single woman. And like, when you're a single woman who's also a teacher, who's also very young, is kind of assumed that you will do all of the extra things that no one wants to do because you have nothing but time to join every committee.
Yup.
So I
because
went, well,
not having kids and not having a husband means you've got all the time in the world.
Right. And it means that you're the most emotionally and mentally stable. So why would extra stress bother you? You have nothing to stress about. You're so young.
What could you possibly have going on?
So basically at like the like little picnic dinner get together before the school year starts, we're sitting around. I think maybe it's a fire. In my brain, it's a fire. And I look him in the eye and I'm like, listen, I've never acted. I read a lot of plays and I've been to some. I sing. Who knows if it's great because it's just me in the car or the shower. I don't paint. I don't sew. I don't choreograph. I don't anything out of what you need out of this club. But if you just need another person in that room to make sure kids are alive and acting right, I'll show up every week. And he's like, well, what a sales pitch.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Right. Oh, useless. Like, loud and useless. Great.
What
So
a
he's
great
like, but
combo.
he's like, I don't know, show up the first week and we'll see what you do. So I
Right.
show up that first week, and what I wasn't very honest about was like I had a brief stint in improv. So once I understood that, like, for the first couple of weeks we were just doing silly improv games, I'm like, oh, I'm about to shine.
This is my moment.
This is my moment. I can play all these games. So I played all the games with the kids while he led them. And then the next week, I came prepped with my favorite Whose Line Is It Anyways games. I was like, I thought we could play these ones.
I love Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, so then he escalated my responsibilities and started giving me a station to run. He's like, if you want to run a station, run a station. Like, And we started to like form this beautiful friendship because then he needed me. Because let me tell you something about this man. Horribly talented, horribly charming, huge flirt. He became the safe person for me. He is literally months older than my father. Like, they are the same age. I know his age because my dad turns his age a couple of months either before or after. But he became this like safe guy to like take all that sass and charm, and we would flirt back and forth. Like, we would have banter back and forth. Yeah. I love a good banter energy. And like, we would be spending all of this time together, and his kids loved me. So we were having dinner at the stage, and we were like painting, and we were building things. He taught me how to use power tools. Why? And what ended up happening is he truly allowed me a safe space to thrive artistically, which is not something I've always been handed, because my family is so practical, and arts are hobbies. They're not careers, and they're not life-changing. They're literally something that a subset of special people get to do, but you shouldn't think that you get to do them. Under his tutelage, I became this wonderful flirt. But I also wrote songs. I designed sets. One horrific year of teaching, when everyone was in a bad mood, I wrote everyone a poem for Christmas. I helped choreograph 2 musicals. Thank you, YouTube. I learned how to tango and the box step off of like YouTube. And it's like, all because this guy looked at me over a fire, and he's like, well, I guess if you're my option, you're my option.
And did this like spill out into more than just theater as well? Like, the relationship?
Yeah. I went to horse camp one time with him and his younger son.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on.
So like,
stop. What the hell is horse camp? Are you a horse person that I don't know about?
Dina, number one, I love horses. When I was a small child in my formative years, like 2 to 4 years old, we lived on my great-grandma's farm after she died. And she haunted my bedroom. That's something we can tell about later. But the guy on the property next to us, like, my backyard spilled out into his horse field. And I would just sit with my dogs and watch the horses.
Okay, but you know horse girls are like crazy, right?
Well, I also like, yes. But the cool thing about horses is like they're really great therapy animals, because they
That's
actually
true.
teach you socialization and boundaries. Because if you're super anxious, we forget that horses are prey animals because they're so big, but they have all of the prey animal instincts from when they lived in the wild. So if you're anxious, they feel your anxiety. So you have to go through this, like, if you want them too hard, they want nothing to do with you. So you have to be like your cool and calmest self when approaching a horse.
Huh.
Yeah. So, like, I would help out with his kids. I would babysit his younger son from time to time. We would go to movies. We would have dinner every once in a while. And, like, unfortunately, our beautiful friendship was often misconstrued by the more conservative people that we worked with, and I would get a lot of warnings. It'd be like, well, he's kind of a so-and-so. And I'm like, what? Gross. Like,
yeah.
We're literally just friends, and we're painting a set. I remember one night he told me, he's like, I bought discount paint for the floor of the stage. Do you want to come over and paint the floor of the stage? And we didn't break into the school because we had keys, but we just painted. I was like, are we allowed to do that? He's like, who's going to tell us not to? And we paint.
You're the adults in this situation.
Right. And he painted. We listened to Fatboy Slim. I still can't listen to Fatboy Slim without doing the dancing that we were doing with the rollers of paint.
That's so wholesome. I love that.
So, he literally became the person that I would go to with dad things. I even, our drama club kids would call us mama and dad. And, there was a rule, if I all of a sudden had my hair down, because usually I just wear my hair down, and I would put it up in my, no bullshit bun, one of the kids would be like, oh, mama stressed. No. Because I was learning how to be an artist through him. He was learning how to be an organized Capricorn through me. And I'm like, no, we need a little type A in this situation. And we would have silent fights in the middle of rehearsal where he would say a thing and I would say a thing, and then I would fight him with my brain and my eyes, and then our costumes and stuff were in the basement that I would call the dungeon, and one of the kids were like, are you coming back? And I'm like, maybe, just down here breathing.
I love this dynamic though. This is so amazing.
Yeah, and I would call him boss man because he thought I was in charge, but he was in charge, but I was in charge.
Exactly.
And I don't know if our tolerators or you have a background in the Book of Mormon musical.
Nope, sure don't.
But we are very much, we went and saw it. I saw it the first time with him, his daughter, and a guy who helped us one year direct our first musical, maybe our second musical. I can't actually remember. Time is a construct. And two of our other close friends, and we went and saw the Book of Mormon together, and he lied to me about where our tickets were. We had planned and prepped for us to get really great tickets, and he called me and he was like, meet me at Panera. So we meet up for breakfast, and he hands me the tickets, and he's like, I'm sorry I couldn't get the tickets that we wanted, we're in the balcony. And I was like, I'm just so happy we're going, because he's paying my way. I'm like, I'm just so happy we're going. This is a really great gift. You gave me the soundtrack, and I'm so happy. And he's like, are you not going to open that envelope? And I'm like, why are you yelling? We're in Panera.
Don't yell in Panera. Hello.
Don't yell in Panera. Okay. So I open the envelope, and he whacks the tickets in my hand. He's like, those are third row center tickets. Because he's a liar. And I looked at the guy, because he wants me to have some huge sappy reaction to him. And I just looked at the guy making my bagel sandwich at Panera. I was like, do your close friends lie to you to get reactions out of you? Because that's what mine does. You see that? It's not cool. But I would have to keep him on track. He didn't like writing emails. So I would have to reserve things for the theater. And then when he was tasked to do things and they wouldn't happen, and he'd be like, why did this happen, Nat? And I was like, because you didn't plan. Duh. So yeah, it spilled out to other theater. He actually, if you tuned into last episode, you know that my last relationship was a really big bummer. And when I was at my most confused about it, I hadn't seen this man, my mentor, for a year, maybe 2 years. COVID, you're not seeing people that you're not in usual contact with. He called. He's like, are you home? And I was like, hey, sir, it's a pandemic. We all home.
Wow, that's where we all are 24/7
right
now.
He had gotten his Mustang detailed or something up near me, And he's like, cool, I'm coming over. I was like, guess I'll put on a bra. Like, it's quarantine life.
Jeez.
So he came over, and I'm letting him know about the little reality TV show stint that I did. And I'm talking to him about Mr. Bummerman from last week. And he gave me a lot of good perspective about my relationship, because he's like, well, if you have the very limited or maybe mediocre experience that you have, and he has none, you're literally building him up from ground zero. Like, maybe you need to think about your relationship from the viewpoint of his fear. Because, like, you have all of this anxiety every time you enter into a relationship. Imagine what it would be like to feel all of that anxiety for the first time again.
Mm.
He also looked me dead in the eye and he asked me, well, what do you like about him? Because, of course, I had been doing a lot of complaining. I was like, he's weird about sex, and he, like, we never talk about it, like, we have sex, and then he, like, brushes me off, or he shames me, or, like, we can't actually talk about it. And then, like, he had no friends growing up. I asked him about his childhood, and he told me that his childhood was a big old blank, and that, like, triggered all my counseling stuff, and I was like, you need to see a therapist. And so, like, I'm doing all of this, like, anxiety dumping on Boss Man. And he looks at me and he's like, well, what do you like about him? And it took me too long to answer. I wasn't prepared for the question.
Yeah,
and
I love those people.
I was like,
we're so impartial.
Yes. And I was like, can you give me a minute? He's like, sure. And, like, when I literally had to grapple for things that I liked about the man that I was dating and sleeping with, to tell, like, one of the few men in my life that I respect for a majority of the time that I'm with him, I was like, oh no. I was like, I should probably call this quits. I can't. This is taking me too long to figure out what I even like about my relationship.
Dang.
Like, this guy has a knack of showing up, like, exactly when I need him. It's like one of those mystical human beings who's, like, so attuned into my energy that he's like, I think she's in crisis. I should maybe check in.
Right.
There was only one instance where I feel like this guy had, like, a negative impact on my psyche and my emotions about myself. Because I was young and brash and ballsy and bawdy, and, like, he and I would go for hours and hours on these, like, flirty tangents. I would come to him with a lot of dating stuff, like when you're doing the dating app thing, and I'm like, I never understand why no one wants to take me out twice. And he told me, he's like, maybe on these dates, be yourself, but maybe be a softer version of yourself. And, like, I get where he's coming from. Like, don't lay it all out on the table at first. Like, people like mystery. But every once in a while, like, the be you but softer kicks up all of my defiant shit. And I'm like, no, I get to be me all the time. Right. Sir?
Yeah. There is something to be said, I think, about easing into who you are, especially if you have maybe some quirks or, you know, like, very loud past that can leak into a lot of, you know, interactions with people on the daily. Some people get turned off or just, like, overwhelmed by someone, you know, that is very comfortable. Yeah. And that's their own stuff, of course. Like, if you don't ever want to dull yourself for even, you know, introductions or stuff, then don't. But it can, like, put people at ease to take it slow, I think, with that.
Like, it's good advice, but it's also advice that, like, continues this narrative that, like, women, the most attractive women, are the quiet ones. Have you tried being quiet?
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely not what we want to promote or...
Right. It's like, have you tried being like nondescript. Like, have you tried being just a vessel for guys to pour all their baggage and wants and desires onto?
Right.
And it's not that he believes that that's what women are, but it's just like, whoo. Huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my mentor in a nutshell. He's still the first person I like get the gut urge to call to with like dad things when something's broken around here. I'm like, maybe I should call him. He's still the only person I will allow to officiate my wedding, even though I never want to be married. I just like want an entire ceremony of him saying nice things about me.
Yeah. You want him to like stand up after and give like a toast about you and say all the nice things about you. Yeah. Because secretly I want all those things. I just want people to say nice things about me.
Right. I just want to be in a pretty dress and hear about all the ways people think I'm fantastic.
Exactly.
I don't need a partner.
Maybe I should do that for my 30. Like, do the opposite on my 30th birthday. Like, just have all my friends come in and tell me how amazing I am and all the reasons.
Like an anti-roast?
Birthday ever. Yeah, the opposite of a roast.
Yes, because roast culture gets so toxic.
It can. And I feel like, it can get ugly. Very ugly. Which is the point. Like, I know that that's the point of a roast. But for me, I'm like, I'm not interested in knowing everything that's terrible about me. I tell myself those things all the time. Why would I want other people to tell me those things? Like, I don't need to hear it from other people.
Also, this guy was literally my emergency contact until very recently. You know when you have to fill out all those forms and it's like, who's someone who won't pull the plug on you if you have a hangnail? And you're like, I have very few people who will not take.
Who will it be? And I'm not going to ask permission at all. They're just going to get the phone call.
One time I went to work late at the theater. Also, this guy takes credit for me having a career in theater at all. He's like, I put your foot in the door. Why do you love theater? Because of me. And now you work at a professional
Of course,
theater.
A man takes credit for that. The man takes credit for all of the hard work you put in. Of course.
Yeah. His daughter's in college now. We had lunch by ourselves. And I was like, your father took credit. And she's like, of course he did. Like, that's his ammo. Like,
right.
But one time I showed up to work late at the theater because I had a doctor's appointment, and my friend who was a dude and who like literally never wants any more closeness to me than I force upon him. He's like, how was your appointment? I was like, I made you my emergency contact. Like, is that cool? And he's like, no, why? I was like, I'm just kidding. Like, but could you imagine? Like, I put you down as my emergency contact.
Maybe I did.
I took stock of everyone that knows me in my life. I've decided that you care about me the most, and I put you down as my emergency contact. That's a fun trick to,
you know what?
To play on
I'm going to do that to Raymond.
Please do.
I'm going to do it. I'm not even going to tell him. Raymond, for those listening, is my boss that I give shit all the time. All the time. It is my number one goal to give him shit in life.
Is he gonna sue us if we become famous and his name's on the podcast, or are we gonna
I really don't care. He is the only person that I will drop names on this podcast. I swear to God, Raymond, if you're listening, I'm never gonna stop saying your name. You can get a lawyer, man, because it's not gonna stop.
Well, and with that, I think we should just launch into Dina's story. Because she's ready. She ready.
What a segue. What a great segue.
Dina, is Raymond your life mentor?
Oh, hell no.
Hell no.
Secretly, none of us neither me or him will admit it, I think. But he actually is, in my now, very present everyday life. Raymond is my mentor, but he wouldn't admit it, and I won't actually ever admit it. Not on paper.
Absolutely.
But no, I'm not talking. Absolutely not. And I am not admitting it today.
Raymond deserves so many compliments and will get none.
Exactly. Doesn't matter how good of a job he did. You know what he did? Hold on. Just a little segue. Raymond, yesterday on Facebook, posted a lovely picture. He has a girlfriend.
Of Facebook, the painting class.
Of the painting. They went to a painting class. They did like a couple's like painting of like a winter scene. It was beautiful. And I commented on it and I just said, wow, Picasso. and, and of course, he doesn't comment. He just like laugh emojis on it. But his girlfriend comments and she's like, oh man, like, you know, the one painting of the two that is bad is mine, she said. And I was like, nah. I wasn't even shitting on your painting. I would never talk ill of you or your painting. Right. I don't care how good his painting is. His painting is shit.
Ma'am, please step to the side.
I'm not coming for you. You are not.
When I met my mentor's new girlfriend, now fiance, for the first time, he got so frustrated because we just piled on him. And I was like, and then he does this. And I'm like, I know he does this. And can you even believe that this happened? I go, 100% I can believe that happened because one day he did this to me and thought that it was appropriate. And like, he's like, I'm paying for lunch.
Hello.
And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you need a crown? I'm paying for lunch.
But yeah, his girlfriend is a lovely human. She's wonderful.
All
him, on the other hand, questionable.
Yeah.
But
all of the women who put up with the men in our lives are wonderful people.
Honestly, beautiful human beings. But no, my mentor today is not Raymond.
Because it's...
because it is my sugar daddy.
Are we gonna launch into my first reactions?
Yes,
to hearing ahead. That you have a sugar daddy?
Yes, Natalie has a very open opinion and reaction every single time I mention that I have a sugar daddy.
So here's the thing, everyone. I need you to know that, and maybe Dina will go into the origin of her sugar daddy, but she didn't even try. And that's what irritates me. Like, I'm over here, like, Googling, I'm like, how can I engage in sex work but not have anyone in my family know that I'm selling my panties online? Like, I actively Google stuff like that from time to time. Quarantine and unemployment have been hard. And Dina one day is just like, this guy bought me this because he my daddy. And I'm like, excuse me? I'm over here in the strife, in the struggle, trying, and like these men just find you and they're like, I'll give you gifts. You know what you don't have to claim on your unemployment tax forms? Gifts. I would love presents on the weekly and daily. So like, I'm so proud of her for engaging in this type of relationship because I'm very sex positive, but I'm also very jealous and petty.
Oh man, yes. So, like Natalie mentioned, I was not actively looking for a relationship like this.
She did not apply anywhere.
My sugar daddy, I'll just call him a daddy, you know, from during this. He and I met oh my god, we met playing a online game back in college. We've known each other for so long. And it's probably not the most like what you first envision a sugar daddy relationship to be like. He isn't like giving me money every week. He isn't like, I'm not I'm not giving him like, you know, naked pictures or having sex with him or anything like that. It's right. But he does send me gifts from time to time. He'll you know, give me money to go have a spa day or do some self-care or whatever. Yeah. But really to me, he is like this older gentleman because he's like, imagine someone in like their 50s. He is someone that I can be 100% open and honest with and also get good advice because he's very successful. He's very open with his sexuality. And that was something that I never had. Like, because guys, no secret here, I have daddy issues.
Daddy issues. Who are women who start a podcast about their relationships with men. Women who have daddy issues.
That's us. Yep. So I don't have a relationship with my father, and I feel like even though me and him do get like, you know, we do have a sexual side to our relationship, so it's not like he's like necessarily a father figure. He just provides me with someone who's older that I can be 100% authentic with. And he's never forced me to do anything, you know, I don't want to do. If I don't feel like, doing anything, I don't do it. And he never pushes it. It's not like a thing.
Dina, can you go into some of the, like, what are the specifics of the services that your daddy provides you and then you trade for your daddy?
Yeah,
Gifts?
so like I said, we don't have like an official on paper contract, which some daddies and sugar babies do have contracts. They'll get weekly allowances, or they got to do this, they got to meet up this much. But really, the only thing we do is like, yeah, when we're feeling like we want to interact like sexy, we'll sext, or we'll have a phone call, or he'll just like, I'll give commands, because one of the things you'll hear about is him being my mentor sexually, like, and exploring different sides of my sexuality. So it's just kind of playful in what we each, there's no set rules or anything. Sometimes I'll send pictures, sometimes I'll send videos like Snapchats and stuff like that, but it's never like, I like him asking for something and demanding something from me. It's never like that. It's just like you would almost with like a fling or something like that, but it's a long-term, you know, relationship that we've had with one another. And if I've been in a situation or I've known him and he's been my daddy throughout relationships, if my partner is not comfortable with it, then I stop that side, you know, I stop that relationship with him, but we still talk, you know, normal friend talk. And so he's been in my life that way for so long, and I appreciate him. But basically, what he's, really allowed me to do is explore my sexuality and talk to somebody about wanting to expand certain parts of my sexuality. Because honestly, when I was like younger, I was much more submissive person. But as I started to get into my mid and late 20s, I was like, I really want to explore my dominant side. And he really has been there for me. Teaching me, you know, he would send me things to like test out, like toys or, you know, things I could do on partners. I even asked him like, how can I start with, you know, these things? And he was always there, like giving me advice, and just letting me talk. Outside of that, the sexual aspect, he really like is similar to your story. He is kind of the unbiased opinion. So if I am going through something in my real life, I can always call him and he will be there to lend an ear, give me advice from his point of view, which is always, honestly, because we are obviously very two different people. Like, he's a man in his 50s, I'm a young woman in my 20s. Like, he always has a different perspective that I've never, you know, I never expect, and it can be helpful at times. So I truly value our relationship, and we're so trusting of one another since we've known each other for so long. I know he'll always be there for me no matter what, and it's so nice to have someone like that that's there unbiased, really, which is lovely. And he lives, you know, I don't see, you guys may be thinking like, where is this guy? Do you see him? No, I don't see him. He lives on the other side of the country. We honestly almost exclusively interact online or via text or phone calls. We do plan to meet sometime in the future, but it's not like a huge priority, especially with COVID. It's like, hello. And obviously when I'm in a relationship, it's harder for me to meet him, or I don't want to meet him, or my partner's not comfortable with it. So, which I 100% okay, and he's okay with it too. But I hope someday that we'll be able to meet and it'll expand it, or, you know, strengthen our bond even more than what it is now. So
what do you think are some like huge revelations you've made about yourself through, like, mine was like, I can be an artist. Like, I have an artist soul. Is yours like, I love whipping men? Because I'm cool with that too.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, so here's the thing. I think a lot of women think that you have to be submissive in the bedroom for a guy's ego. He won't like someone that's dominant. It's like not sexy or whatever. But for me, he has taught me that it is 100% okay to be more dominant, to ask things in the bedroom, ask for what you want, put yourself, before your partner sometimes. Like, it's okay to be a little selfish, because some people, especially me when I was younger, I was like, give everything to your partner, worry all about them, and don't worry about yourself, and don't ask things. Like, my God, the amount of women I know that have faked orgasms just to please another person is over 9,000, I'm sure. I'm sure so many people can relate to that. And I was one of those girls as well.
Do you remember?
He has given me confidence. Yeah.
Do you remember when Bummer Boy from last week, who we'll be talking about in a future episode about shame, told me during the breakup that if I had faked orgasms more often, he would have felt more confident having sex with me? And I was like, I tried to fake it once and you didn't even notice, so.
Right. That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. And yeah, he has really given me the confidence and the courage to be able to stand up for things that I want in the bedroom and to be comfortable exploring other things. So yeah, he's really given me a different perspective on sex and sex positivity and all that stuff. And now hell yeah. I think dominance is like my realm of sexuality. Like, I love being dominant in the bedroom. I also enjoy being submissive, and I am what you would call a switch in the bedroom. But I would never have admitted that when I was younger and before I had him in my life.
What's been your favorite toy that he sent that you tried?
So what is my favorite toy he sent? You're putting me on the spot a little bit. Let me think about it. But I think it would have to be, he sent me, actually, it's not even a toy. He sent me a lot of outfits that he think would make me feel powerful and confident and strong. So he sent me a lot of corsets, which, like, corsets are both so feminine, but also very, give you a very strong confidence and bold statement. And so when you put on a corset, like a real one, I'm not talking like, the cheap one, I'm talking a real corset, it will give you so much power. And I think that those are some of the best things that he sent me.
Have you watched the Netflix show Bonded? About the woman who's a dominatrix and her buddy from college is like her little security guard man.
No, but I've heard about it. Is it good? Did you watch it?
Yes, I watched it because I love shit like that. And I'm hoping for a season 2. So I need every tolerator out there. If you don't want to watch it, just leave it on your fucking TV for your dog to watch while you're at work. So we get a season 2.
Hell yeah.
I'm
gonna go watch that. That's awesome.
Yes. I think it's called Bonded. I will make sure that that's actually the correct term because as soon as I watch a show, I'm like, who was in that? What was that about? But I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't remember things at all. Ever. Wow, I love that we had such different mentors too. Like,
yes.
But they brought so many different things to our lives.
Yes, it is called bonding. I had the
bonding. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think so? Like, one similarity that runs for both of our mentors is that they are older men. Do you think that speaks to like gaps that we were missing from about supportive natures from the first older men in our lives, which is our fathers, because we have daddy issues? Or do you think that like that's just like how mentoring usually goes? It's usually an older man passing down their like, well, young lady, let me tell you about the world.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. Mm-hmm. For us, I don't know about you, but like I definitely have always been drawn to older people. Like my
Yeah.
maturity level, I think even when I was super young, I couldn't relate to people my age, so I always sought out people that were older.
Yeah.
So I think age does play something into it. On the other thing is that we both have very weird relationships with our fathers, and I think there's parts of us subconsciously that just seek older male,
Yeah.
bonds, even if they're non-sexual,
Yeah, one of the foils between my father and Boss Man is that my father is also an artist. He loves clay work, sketching. I commented a piece in his home the last time I was home, and he's like, I drew that. And I'm like, who the fuck would ever know? Like, my dad is so far
Huh.
detached from his inner artist that I might gift him the artist way. I'm currently working through that 12-week program. And like, Boss Man was just like, so, well, yeah, you have to hold a day job. Like, I teach social studies, but like, 100%, he is an artist at all times. He writes.
Mhm.
He, drama club was a big part of his life. He also does like track. I also believe that like exercise plays a part in your artistry because it's honing the body that is the vessel for all of your art. But like, it was so nice to have an older person who celebrated that part of themselves instead of going like, well, there's no time in this for my life. Like now life is all about a 9 to 5 and a marriage and my kids and all of that.
It's I think art is often seen as not masculine in,
Mm-hmm.
stereotypes, and so that may be why part of the reason why your father has such a tough time with it. What do you
Well,
think?
I mean, my dad gets so weird about the masculine and feminine because it's almost like he just ignores that there would be a line there until like
Huh.
he's offended by it. And then he's like, oh, wait, no.
Oh,
Like,
right.
I don't know. My dad is also a person who like sits in the basement by himself and watches Waitress so he can
What
cry.
is that?
You've never seen
What's
the movie
waitress?
Waitress? So
No. Oh,
it's
it's
a
a
mo-
movie. Okay.
it's a movie with Nathan Fillion. Love you, Nathan. And Carrie Russell from Felicity. And she's a waitress in a diner in an abusive relationship, in an abusive marriage. She winds up pregnant. Nathan Fillion is her OBGYN, and they have an affair. But she eventually learns that she doesn't actually need her abusive husband or the savior doctor guy. She really just needs her and her daughter, and she'll make it work. And the community. It's also a wonderful Broadway musical. It's my sister's favorite Broadway musical, and I took
Oh.
her while I was working at the theater. And I met a lot of the tour members because I worked at camp, and like the women on women support in that musical. I played you one of the songs from the musical for our little single ladies Thanksgiving. I
Oh,
told you
that's
I told you
right.
I was like, this is from the musical Waitress. It's where she's learned that she's let go of herself. Like real life has made her like drop everything about her identity, and she wants to connect back with that woman who was reckless and kind and vivacious and all of it. And that she falls to
Yeah.
the against the couch when she sings the word reckless, and it hits me every time.
That sounds lovely. You know what? This just made me really sad that we can't go see theater right now. Like,
I know. It's
I'm kind of sad.
um Six, the musical, just reopened in London. It was a musical that originated in London because it's about King Henry VIII's 6 wives. And when I saw on Instagram, I messaged them and I was like, I'm so happy because this gives me hope that one day my home will get it together and I too will get to go to a musical again.
Is anybody live streaming stuff? I know this is kind of off topic, but I'm just curious if like live streaming is happening.
Live streaming is happening. So if you are a person who is truly missing theater, I would follow any and every theater and show that you can on Facebook and Instagram because that's a great way to figure out who's live streaming and when. I would also make sure that you pick the closest like 3 to 5 theaters nearest you because like the theater that I used to work with did a Zoom or a FaceTime or a live, it was like a virtual live show with two of the guys from Whose Line Is It Anyways? And like you could
Ooh.
buy tickets for that. And comedians are also doing things like that too. So like there are ways to still get your content. I lose some of the magic when it's a live
Yeah.
stream and not actually, because like I used to get like the leg shakes when the score would start, and like there's something about like dressing up for the theater and
Oh,
then
for
walking
sure.
in and all of it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What do you think?
Manifestations?
Yeah, let's do
Or
manifestations and thank yous.
all
Thank you.
right.
All right. I would like to thank the mentor that I talked about today, for giving me, when he explained to people, the children one year at our wrap party wrote a speech, and I have it on my refrigerator. It's like the 15 reasons why Boss Man chose you. Because I would like, it was a running joke. I would say, well, he chose me and now he's stuck with me, like when we would like quip or whatever. And
Yeah.
like they wrote this like beautiful like speech about like, and it's so cute. But he would always tell people, well, she showed up every week and she got better. So he gave me like that work ethic. The like, you might not be great today, but if you keep showing up to yoga, you will get better. Or like show up with the goal of doing one thing better than you did yesterday. So that was a big takeaway that I really need to thank him for more often. But like also thank you to all the men who have tried their best to teach me something, because I'm sure you fall into this camp too. Sometimes when a man tries to tell me something, I immediately go, ugh, what do you know?
Yeah. 100%.
And like it might not have stuck then, but now I've become someone who can articulate their viewpoint, can listen to advice and reflect on it in my own time. I'm working on the fact that I get defensive and feel like I'm put on the spot when I'm receiving feedback in the moment. Like I get clammy and hot and flushed and like panicky because I have perfectionist issues. But, you know, it's through these guys that I've gotten to work on it. And for men who are looking to be mentors, and for my current mentor, I hope that you take being an ally, because that's what you are, very seriously and grow into the role, which means listening to how each individual woman needs you to be an ally in each individual moment. May you be someone who starts to mend some of the rifts between men and women and open the lines of communication over tough matters. May you be a safe person other women can practice these conversations with. Because, like, me and my mentor had a very threatening relationship to everyone else. Like, everyone else wanted to, like, put it on red alert and be like, that's not appropriate, or you should be watching out for him, or he will eventually take advantage of you. And it never happened. It
Yeah.
was this positive thing where every once in a while we would have like a friendship hurt feelings moment, but at no point like did anything of those like big like he'll hit on you or he'll like, you know, this, that, or the other. Like none of that ever happened.
Right. So for me, kind of similar, I want to thank my mentor for teaching me, especially when I was younger, that I can be strong and comfortable with myself and that I can explore all of my wants and needs. And he really kept me true to who I am and everything that I want to be as I continue to grow and learn. And I hope that everybody out there that finds some, like, that you can find someone that you can learn from, whether it be a man or a woman, or someone your age or somebody older. I think it's important that we all keep learning and interacting with people that have different experiences from us and coming together and learning and
And
being
loving.
shiny. So yeah, that's what I got.
All right. Thanks for hanging in there with us. This is episode 6. Now Dina and I are tasked to figure out what the next 3 episodes are going to be about. Make sure to, on any and every platform that you're downloading our episodes on, to like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review and a comment about what you're enjoying. We'd love to start highlighting those at the end of the episode. You can follow us on Instagram at Men I've Tolerated Pod and at Natalie K124. That's my personal Instagram. And if you have any stories, questions, advice that's needed, maybe just some great interactions that you've had with men that you would like to highlight, because we are a podcast of positivity, email all of that at menI'veToleratedBefore@gmail.com. No punctuation, no capitalization, and all of that will be posted on our Instagram and my personal Instagram. If you look up my first and last name from the podcast, you'll be able to find everything.
Yep, and my Instagram is at ms.caboose, ms.caboose. I'll have links to all my other social media and Twitch there, so if you're a gamer, come watch me stream whenever I'm online, and I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah. All right. Keep connecting with us and stay listening, and most importantly, stay tolerating.
Heck yeah. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.